Hi everyone, welcome to the MrpTech Podcast. This is episode 119. My name is Matt, and this is the weekly podcast discussing everyday tech for everyday people. And in this week's episode, I want to talk about a topic that I haven't really talked a whole lot about in this show. In this week's episode, I want to talk about having passion for something or having a passion project. Now, that could mean a lot of different things for a lot of different people. For those in the tech world, you could have passion projects that you want to work on. For instance, you could have a Raspberry Pi cluster and you want to do something with that you've never done before. You could be a programmer and have a passion for clean code. You could be passionate about an open source project that means a lot to you. For each of us, having a passion, I think, is something that's really important in life and helps overcome mundane things that we have to deal with day after day after day. Now, in this podcast, for example, over the last several years, doing this podcast has taken me in many different directions that I never would have expected to learn about, to know about. And it's so funny that time after time, these subjects that I've learned about in the past come up and help me in the future. So this week, I want to talk about why I think everybody out there should take some time every day, learn something new. If you can't do it every day, try to do something once a week, or maybe take that leap and deep dive and learn about something that you've never learned about before. So there are a lot of different ways to do that. We're going to talk about why I think it's beneficial today in this show. So first of all, passion, the word passion isn't and doesn't mean what most people think it does. It actually comes from the Latin word meaning to suffer. And when you're compassionate towards something, you're with that suffering. So when you deep dive and you have a project that you're working on, you're going to have to suffer a little bit through it, especially if it's something you've never learned before, never done before. And that doesn't mean physically suffer. It could be mentally challenging. It may be time consuming. It may be something that every step of the way you think that you should give up. Something so difficult that you think that you're just going to never succeed, so why even bother? Well, one of the things that I found when trying to do something difficult is that constant feeling that I should be giving this up. I shouldn't be doing this. I should just stop now because it's never going to work. And I think a lot of people out there, when they get that feeling, they turn around and go back the way they came. They give up and go on to something else. And for a lot of people out there, many people have different passions. For instance, some people love to cook. For me, cooking stresses me out. Some people love to take photographs. I'm not a photographer, but I'm a musician. Some people are not musicians, and they find the act of learning a musical instrument very difficult and maybe gave up when they were in school, never really coming to their full potential. And so over the course of the last 10 years or so, I've had many different, what I would call a passion project come up. And each time that I've dived deep on something, I learn a skill that maybe will help me with something else in the future. And even if I'm not successful, having those projects makes you learn something new and helps you get along with other people. And I'm finding more and more that some people that I maybe talk with or get introduced to might not have an idea of what their passion is. And if they haven't found it yet, that's okay. We live in a society with a lot of extreme abundance of choice. We can go to a restaurant and have hundreds of options on a restaurant, or turn on TV and have hundreds of channels of TV, but can't find anything to watch. So with all these hundreds of different things out there to do, we sort of get stuck and we're not able to find that one passion that we want to do. But the trick is think long term and focus on one thing at a time. Small iterations, small steps, and move forward. So for instance, I started using Linux in 2009. Never had used it before, but instantly loved it. It was a new thing that I've never used before. Now, Linux has changed quite a bit over the last few years, and I still find myself learning a lot about it every single time that I am using a Linux system. I'm sort of self-taught at most of this, but each time that I have to overcome something that I didn't know about, sort of collecting a bunch of tools that I can use in the future. And so, Linux has kind of been a passion of mine for a while, but it's not really something that I found or just wanted to do. It's something that I created over a long period of time. And now when I need to do something new, something different, try something new, different, I can look back on all of the hard work that I've done and put in and get something from it or try something new in order to get what I need to be done. So I think passion is something that comes with hard work, as I've been saying. It is just not instinctively there. I don't think we all are born with passions. I don't think I was born to be a music teacher. I don't think I was born to podcast. I don't think I was born to have my own professional music groups. I think that comes with hard work and effort, and you become passionate about what you have created. So why doesn't everybody have passion? I don't think everybody has passion. It's something that it could be debated quite a bit. And I think things like motivation, dedication, conviction, and our circumstances all get wrapped up into us either having passion for something or not having passion for something. Maybe another word for passion is a powerful feeling of enthusiasm, excitement, or anger or hate for something. Maybe you've been in a board meeting full of people who are passionate about their jobs, and they sit and argue about what they think is best because they're all passionate and not listening to the other people around them. But here's a few things for those out there who might not have found their passion, what they love to do yet, and trying something new or learning about something you've never learned about before. Here's a couple of ideas that might help you find your passion or give you incentive to work on a project that you've never worked on before. Or maybe even just start by listening to somebody who has a different perspective than you, or listening to someone who has a story to tell from their passion. One of my favorite things I like to do if I'm with somebody I don't really know is I like to hear their story, what they've done for years, and learn to appreciate the things and hard work that they've done. If I sit and listen to somebody telling me about what they do for a living, rather than judging them or criticizing them for what they do, I usually say something like, wow, that must be really hard or must be really tough. And then that person will go into talking more about what they do and leads to an interesting conversation rather than me just shutting them out completely and criticizing them for what they do. Let's give you an example of somebody who works for a calling agency. So let's say somebody makes phone calls for a company and they have to make thousands of phone calls a week. And most of them, when they call and they talk to somebody, they probably get hung up on. Well, somebody's got to do that. Might not be the best job in the world, but at least they're trying to pay their rent or whatever. And all of a sudden, I come across somebody who does that for a living. I'm not going to judge them. That's got to be a really tough job, and I'm sure there's a lot to it, more to it than we realize. So having a passion for something, learning something new, can get you new friends. You can meet new people. Having a passion for something gives you a discipline to get over something, like playing an instrument like the guitar, or getting creative on Photoshop, learning, a choreographed movement for a new dance, and trying something new that you've never done before. Maybe karaoke or improvised comedy, being brave and trying new things. Of course you're going to fail. That's not the end goal, though. At least you did it, at least you tried, and at least you have learned something in the process from it. And it gives you something that's for you that nothing else can replace. That something for you is something you're going to carry with you for the rest of your life. And it helps you find yourself. Maybe you're really busy. Maybe you have lots of work. You work in an office in a cubicle, and it's not really gratifying. It's just mundane work every day. But having those passion projects, as maybe you are a carpenter and you like to build chairs or furniture or desks or whatever when you get home from work. That's your passion. That's what you love to do. And seeing the look on people's faces when you make them something or they purchase something from you that they really love, that instantly adds gratification and helps you cope with that mundane cubicle that you work in every day. So, moral of the story here, life is too short. You have to have something that makes you happy. It could be here and gone in the next moment. You never know. And so take that opportunity to learn as much as you can. Take that opportunity to enjoy your life. And you know what? Sometimes passion projects can be hard work. Sometimes they can be just trying to make people feel good about themselves. Sometimes it could be just about yourself and just having 10 minutes for yourself to learn something and separate, busy, crazy lives from everything else going on in the world to just having 10 minutes of your own time. Passions give you a sense of purpose. When you do something for somebody else, you benefit from it. Ultimately, that makes you happier. And it won't feel like work to you. That's the issue that I have when, as a music teacher, working professionally as a musician after work, I really enjoy my job. That's my passion. Music is my passion. And I've been working 12 years in a school district. And, that's something that never turns off. My mind is always working on what am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? And a lot of people say, well, it must be really great that you have never, feels like you've never had to work a day in your life. That's not really true. I love my job. And yes, I go in and it's fun every day, but it never turns off. It is always there with you. So passions can be addicting at some point in time too. And you'll feel like you're benefiting the world at some point, or even not just the world, but locally. If everybody out there tried to benefit everybody else in the same room, same building, same workshop, same factory, whatever, and then think bigger, world will be a better place. I know this is all making this all sound rosy, but you know what I mean. And then you can start to take that passion, manifest it into something in real life that is beneficial not only to you, but people around you. And you become more persistent at everything that you do. So let's take all of these projects that I've worked on over the last few years, like ham radio and Google training, that type of thing. Those were really things that I wasn't super interested in when I started, but it got me to be persistent at things. And then when it comes to things that are really hard, like last week when I was looking for rare and vintage items, my level of persistence is much greater than what it's ever been, because I know how to overcome difficult things and try things and think outside the box and reaching into that deep into that tool bag of different tools on how to try new things to get what it is I want. And it ultimately builds character and stuff like that. You learn how to ignore people who give you a rough time for your passion. People who don't have passions, you can sort of learn how to brush that off and realize that the passions are the really most important things, and that you've never been perfect in the past and you're never going to be perfect in the future, but life becomes more fun, and there will be sort of a sense of joy and happiness in your life that having a passion project will do for you. So it's not really a hobby. It's not really a dream, but being passionate about something can really improve the quality of your life. So if you're not one to dive deep into something new and you want to try to do something new, there are ways you can do that with tech sometimes. You could buy a Raspberry Pi and check it out, even though you know nothing about it. $35, right? You could buy a Raspberry Pi and learn a little bit about Linux, learn a little bit about single board computers. You could try an open source program or software that does something instead of paying for it, and try the free stuff out. Probably a little bit more work than you might be used to, but you never know. But if you learn to kind of weather the storm, those benefits will be overwhelmingly positive for you. And just investing a little bit of time every day over the course of a couple years will get you where you want to be. And you don't mind having that sense of being a geek or sense of being a nerd or whatever that is. It's learning about something is fun, and encourage you all to pick a project and start working on it. Maybe you like to cook and you like to try new foods. Maybe you are a coffee snob and you want to learn more about coffee, or maybe you are into different cultures of the world and you want to learn about all the different cultures in the world and how they're all related. Buy some books, buy some audiobooks, do something and start that project you've always wanted to do, but just never had time to. And take 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day to make that time for yourself. I think having a passion project is one of the most healthy things that you can do for yourself, and encourage you all to do that. I mentioned a couple of my passion projects. Running a big band is one of them. Doing this podcast is another one. And, if somebody judges me for being a podcast host, then I brush it off. If somebody judges me for being a professional musician, I brush it off. It's hard to do with that. There's so much negativity in the world. But I think one of the things that helps me get through it is staying as positive as I can. There's too much negativity in the world, and really just being the person that I want to be without any other type of negative influence is a real thing. So if I want to do a show on something silly, I'm going to do a show on something silly. If I want to do a show on a deep dive on a topic that I'm interested in, not everybody's going to be interested in it, but I'm interested in it. If I want to try new things musically with my music group, I may not get all of the support that I have in the past, but I'm going to give it all the same level of thought process and attention and goal setting that I have with everything else. And usually that gets me on the right track, and I am able to find some success or learn from something and try it differently the next time. So that's my talk on having a passion project, why I think it's important, and encourage you to send me an email. Tell me what your passion project is. Tell me about it. You know what? I'd love to hear what everybody's projects are out there, what you're working on, what you're most passionate about. And you can send me an email, mrptechreviews@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, everybody. That's it for this week. We will see you next week when I deep dive into whatever my next passion project will be.